Bam. Clap means we have officially started, man.
All right.
Dang, I was running around, man, with a like a bat with his head bit off. You know, just gotta do a metal reference for you, dog. You know what I'm
dude,
saying?
I'm actually wearing a Black Sabbath shirt, so that works out.
Look
really
at that.
well. Look at
I thought it was Legend of Zelda shirt.
It all worked out, yeah.
Unless I was the Triforce, I immediately just gamed out.
Right
My
on.
bad, dude. All right, man. Well, yo, thank you for joining us. We have the affectionately known as the Godfather of punk comedy right here, JT Habersaat, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for coming out, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Oh, man. Thank you for dealing with me running around.
No problem.
We're having some technical difficulties, but we all good now, man. All right. Yeah, man. So how was you've been here for the last couple of days? This is your second show?
Yeah, this is the second show. We came in from Baltimore, Annapolis area on Friday afternoon. Did that nice 4-hour drive.
Nice.
And yeah, this is pretty much tonight wraps 2 weeks of East Coast shows for Eddie and I. And then we take a little bit of a breather for the holiday and then reconvene again in LA in early December.
Maybe he's taking a breather. You're not taking a breather, right? You're going right to a festival.
Well, I just wrapped my festival. I just did Altercation Fest.
Okay.
So we just wrapped that in Austin the very beginning in November. So yeah, I was out there running that for 5 full days back to back. And then I had 24 hours to just kind of get my brain together and then flew straight to New York to start in Manhattan with Eddie. So it's been nonstop pretty much, man, from I think I've been out nonstop since October 20th, about then, because I did a weekend with Brian Posehn up in Burlington, Vermont.
There you go.
And then came home, did the festival, and then I've been out with Eddie for these 2 weeks. So
There you go, man.
been a busy fall. Yeah, but no
Hell
complaints.
yeah.
It's been good, man.
Well, shoot. Thank you for coming out, man.
Of course, yeah.
That's awesome. So let me see. What am I asking about first? Well, since y'all been on the road, I know you know like a lot about like the southern places. Have you been enjoying the northern places? Like, you know, we got the quick checks up here. You know what
Dude,
I'm saying?
I love Wawa.
There you go.
I'm a native East Coaster. I grew up in
Okay.
upstate New York, so I've been in Austin, Texas, about 18 years. This past October, and there's certain things I miss out here. There's no diners in Texas, so I miss all the East Coast diners. Every time I go down Route 17 in Jersey, I hit all the diners I can through there. Obviously Italian food and pizza and stuff like that, but the bagels, you know, all the things that people usually talk about. But the Wawas are so great. I think we eat at them like every other day. I get a sandwich to go. So man, I just really dig them, and it's partially nostalgia because I used to go to the Jersey Shore.
You must love diarrhea.
I know. It's funny how the thing that you're like kind of known for locally becomes the thing that you don't want. You know? It's because in Texas it's the barbecue. Obviously, the barbecue's amazing, but I can't eat it a lot. I usually eat it when people come to visit because the same reason. My stomach can't hang with that. It's too heavy.
It's too heavy. Oh man, damn! This time is such a cruel bitch. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Well, yo, thank you for coming out here. Let me see. Well, you've been touring a lot. You've toured with Eddie for a long time. I gotta say, I've been doing some research on you. You're a very smart man.
Oh, thanks.
You're very, very smart. Like
why do you say that? I don't know.
You know a lot of shit. You just know a lot of stuff. You know a lot about animals, don't you?
Animals?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I not like in a veterinarian sense, but I have a lot of pets and stuff like that. And I've had, like what do you mean?
I was listening to a podcast and like this lady was asking you like, oh, what do you think the biggest animal in the world or something like that? You just knew off the top of your head. I was like, why do you just know that stuff?
I don't know. I do have a bit of a, you know how some people have like, they can rattle off like baseball stats or like, you know, like some people are kind of that's the best way I can kind of like, approach it in a way that people will be like, oh, I understand what you mean. Because some people that are really into sports can rattle off like, oh, Babe Ruth hit this many back, and they just know it. I'm like that, but kind of with like pop culture and stuff like that. So music a lot of the time, I don't know. I try not to come out of annoying with it, but Eddie and I listen a lot of time to like Little Steven's Underground Garage in the car and stuff.
Okay.
And like kind of deep garage rock and punk rock and stuff like that. I'll play on there. And Eddie will be like, who's this band? And I'll be like, oh, that's the New York Dolls. And they formed here. And their bass player got cancer. And there was a whole documentary about it. I just kind of go down this wormhole of like Wikipedia. And I try not to be annoying about it. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I just kind of absorb. I watch a lot of, well, not Animal Planet or anything, but I do watch a lot of like documentaries.
Okay.
And so I just tend to kind of absorb a lot of those facts. I don't know why, because I'm not a trivia guy either. Like a lot of people go to trivia nights.
I was gonna assume like
no, I'm not. I'm not really that guy, but like horror movies and music and to some degree, I guess like wildlife and animal stuff. I do have kind of a weird encyclopedia brain. I don't know.
That encyclopedia comes in handy when you're on the road for 4 hours.
Yeah,
so,
sometimes
so
unless it's like shut up.
Me.
Like so I'm pretty aware of it, so I also try to temper that with there's nothing worse than the guy in the van that won't shut up. So I'm definitely pro downtime and quiet also.
Yeah, Eddie Pepitone's trying to listen to Drake. You keep talking about lobster crabs or something.
That's right, man. That's right. Yeah.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned horror movies. And
yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I know you're a big horror guy. Let me see. You were in a horror movie yourself, yes?
Yeah, I've been in one or two. Yeah.
Let me see. What's Fun with Hackley?
Fun with Hackley, Axe Murderer.
You starred in that one, yes?
I was in that. Yeah, it's funny. It was I had a lot of screen time in that, but I wore a goddamn mask the entire time.
It's a wild-looking mask.
So it was a super wild-looking mask. It was like a horror comedy.
It looked like Jason was a burn victim. It was very nice.
Yeah,
I like that mask.
So the concept of that film is everybody's kind of like a B version of a known horror guy. Okay. So instead of like Freddy Krueger, it'd be like, I don't know, a guy that was burned with spoons on his fingers instead of knives. It was like a kind of an adjacent thing like that. So yeah, I was kind of like, I think a cross between Jason Voorhees and the Scream guy. But I was basically in a mask the entire time. So it was a big role, but
that's good, man.
But nobody knew it was me also, because it's just like I think I had my glasses on over the mask once or twice, which was kind of funny. But
you still got to see, dog.
Yeah, I played kind of like the nemesis, because the whole concept is like it's all these murderers that go to like a 9-to-5 office space type job and have to clock in and get X amount of kills per month and everything like that. It's a pretty funny concept. And so I'm like the nemesis to the lead guy, Hackley, who's the axe murderer, and I'm like always trying to. I was like the Dwight Schrute, of the office like that. I was like
the murder office.
The murder office. So yeah, that was a fun one, man. That was a few years ago. But
you said there was another one. I didn't know about the other one.
Yeah, I mean the other one that I first got my SAG card for, which is like the TV union thing back in the day, was Trauma Films. I was in the Toxic Avenger Part 4.
Oh snap!
Yeah, Citizen Toxie, which is literally like 20 years ago, but it was. And he's in jail now, but I worked with Ron Jeremy most of the day.
Oh, he's in jail? I didn't even know.
Yeah, he got all sorts of accusations. He's in jail right now, not having a good time. But I worked with Ron Jeremy. He was like the mayor, and I was this guy leading like the angry mob. And I was just like mad, like I was like leading the angry torches and pitchforks to go get
the Avenger. Oh, he's been the other side.
Yeah. And he was the mayor trying to calm everybody down. So yeah, that was really cool. They had some crazy guest stars. I know Corey Feldman was in that. I missed meeting Lemmy from Motorhead by a day, which sucked, because Lemmy was in that for like a cameo, and I found out he was there the next day, and that was a bummer. But yeah, it's fun, man. That stuff is always a good time. But stand-up's where my heart is at. Stand-up's what I focus on.
All right. Well, if you could go back into the horror genre, and like how they're always recreating horror movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. If you could be the star of a horror movie like reboot, which would it be?
Oh man, that's a good question, because you don't want to mess with iconics. Like you don't want to. I could see people easily saying like Evil Dead, like Bruce Campbell or something like that. But he's so perfect at that. You don't want to do that. I mean, somebody in a mask would be kind of neat. like to be.
You're typecasted.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of. I don't know if I have the right. I'm kind of a larger guy, but I don't know if I have the right body structure for it. But somebody like a Michael Myers, where you have to let the physicality of the walk and everything do the acting for you. I think that's kind of interesting. So maybe somebody like that, where you can just kind of try and do a lot with a little. You know what I mean? But you talking about? I mean, I heard that they're just. I don't know how true this is, but I heard they're rebooting The Shining in London as a stage play. Allegedly with Ben Stiller as the Jack Torrance role, which is, I mean, I love The Shining. So like, that's messing with royalty to me, as far as like me saying I'd love to do that, but that's an iconic role that would be wild to attempt. The lunatic guy in the in the Overlook Hotel.
You'd like to know what it's like to kill a family is what you're trying to say?
I just kind of identify with the isolation aspect, and I can see how that could happen. I'm working on a book also, so there's parallels there. So like
you go to a lot of hotels. And they drive
a lot
you
of
crazy,
hotels and working on a book. So yeah, I can easily see it happening.
What book are you working on? Is it another custom toy book or no?
No, the custom toy books. I did 2 of those, and my last book was called Killing for a Living, which was covered like 2 years of tour journals from 2014. Basically, from when I left my last desk job to go full time with comedy. That covers the first 2 years of that, like living out of the van, and doing like 200 dates a year, which is unsustainable and crazy. I don't recommend anyone do that. But this new book, I can't talk too much about it, but it's very stand-up comedy. It's kind of like my ode to stand-up comedy. So
okay.
But I can't talk about it too much. But that'll be coming out next year at some point. Like it's going to be a 500-page book. So it's been my project for the last 2 years, more or less, whenever I'm not on the road and not doing the action figure toy stuff.
Yeah, that's Harry Potter Part 4 number right there. It's a lot
of work, man. It's been taking over my life. Any downtime I have has been typing away at the keyboard, but I think it's going to be pretty cool. So
at least you're not using no ghostwriters. You're in there yourself.
No, I don't mess with any of that. No, that feels like cheating to me. I mean, there's a lot of like interviews that I had to do for this project specifically, and I just recently started using transcription, programming, because I was just transcribing everything by ear, and people are like, you can save hours by having like this robot do it for you.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I need to do that, as I'm being too much of a control freak. So
yeah,
I did let that kind of help a little bit the last couple of months. But
there you go, shout out AI.
Right. That's coming for us all. It probably already wrote its own book using just that stuff.
It's going to come out before you and just undercut you.
You're not wrong. I worry about that.
That's what it is. AI is its own monster. Speaking of monsters. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about animals and whatnot. What's probably the wildest animal you've ever seen in real life, in person?
Oh man. Well, I mean, there's twofold. You can say like just out there, like on its own in the wild, or like in a zoo that I happen to be at. Because I did a run of dates with my buddy Mishka Shubali, who's a really brilliant musician and author, and we went up to Alaska. It's a story I sometimes tell on stage. And I saw a Kodiak grizzly up there.
Holy crap.
And that was insane, man. The scope of that bear was like, wow. Because it was a wildlife refuge. Yeah. So it wasn't a zoo. Like it wasn't in a cage. It was just like, these are areas where you can't mess with them. And there's like a bit of a ditch, I guess, to keep it from you. But it was basically just the wilderness with some parameters in place so people couldn't mess with the animals. But I felt like if the bear really wanted to get me, he definitely could have. He was like maybe 50 feet away.
Really?
And this
is just a ditch between y'all.
Pretty much. There was no cage. Like it wasn't like a zoo. It was just like I don't know. But preserve, I guess, is the best way to put it. But that bear was enormous. So that tripped me out. But in person, there's a thing in Texas, halfway between Austin and San Antonio, called the Snake Farm.
The Snake Farm.
Oh, you know the Snake Farm?
The 12-foot King Cobra?
Dude, the 12-foot King Cobra.
Yes, that's what I was hoping you'd get to.
R.I.P. King Cobra, because the thing passed away, and now they have the skeleton there on the wall. But the first time, like I said, I've been in Austin 18 years. I went to the Snake Farm, I think after a year or two I'd been down there. So it used to be kind of a dingy roadside attraction, kind of like a carnival vibe, Like it was dusty and sketchy.
If you have the skeletons in the back, I guess that's
well, I remember they have a huge pit there of rattlesnakes, right? Uh-huh. And it's just open at the top. You're just 10 feet over these pit of rattlesnakes. And I remember they said, all right, it's feeding time. And these dudes came in with buckets of mice and just tossed handfuls of mice into these rattlesnakes. And I was like, this feels wrong. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know that's what happens, but they're just tossing handfuls of mice and these snakes were just tagging them. It was crunch, crazy. Dude. And they had a 12-foot King Cobra.
Wow.
In a glass cage, and you would walk up and that thing would veer up. And it was like, I'm like 6'2".
Yeah.
And it would go up at least like 5'8". The thing was almost like eye to eye height when it would rear up. And it was terrifying, man. I'm like, this thing, and it was probably, 5-6 inches thick around. It was just an enormous snake, and it scared the living hell out of me.
Did you see it eat or no?
No, I never got to see it eat. But every time I'd go through, at least once, it would rear up and do that like hood thing, like don't mess with me. And I was like, Jesus, I couldn't imagine seeing that in real life, like without some sort of barrier.
Yeah.
So that was pretty wild, man. I also one time when my parents have a place in Cape Cod in the summers, and I went cage diving with sharks in the open water off the coast of Cape Cod. This is right before pandemic. This is 2019. And so they take you out into international waters, about 15 miles offshore, and then just throw chum in the water and dump you in the cage over the side. And so I was just out there swimming with like a 10-foot shark cruising by. So that was pretty intense too, man.
Shark? That's nuts.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. A couple of them. So what was really crazy is we let this guy and his kid go first. And then I was going ready to get in after he got out, and this dude was getting out of the ladder, and he accidentally banged his knee and started bleeding all over the deck.
No.
And I'm like, dude, you're literally putting blood in the water right now, and I have to get in this cage with the sharks out there. So it was pretty comical. But also I was like, man.
You got in that cage after that?
I did.
Oh, what happened? You didn't come in with robot legs, so I guess it was okay.
No, it was all right. I mean, the cage, it was one of those, it was, I guess they call it like an observation cage as opposed to the one that like sinks down into the, like we weren't scuba diving. We just had snorkel gear and wetsuits. And so it basically pivots off the back of the boat and sinks into the water about 6 inches under the water and is attached to the boat. And so you hop off the boat into the cage and the sharks are just all around you. And so it was wild, man. But it was also, it was pretty serene. Like I wasn't scared with that. I've never really been terrified of sharks. I've always been kind of fascinated by them. There was one point where I have video of it where it splashed and the tail came up over the top of the cage when I was in it. And I was like, oh no, like this is how like if this thing comes in here, then it's going to be a problem. Cause it was, the main one I remember was like a 12-foot blue shark. Jeez. Which, you know, it's just like a torpedo with teeth cruising right past you.
Dude, that's nuts.
So yeah, that was some, those are the big three, I guess, that come to mind.
That's wild. Cause you're literally, you surrounded yourself with those sharks. Did they teach you any like shark stopping moves? Like hit them in the nose?
There's no stopping moves. There's no, keep your hands inside the cage. Yeah. And, you know, you'd go in, cause there was like 3 couples. And so we'd go in 15-minute increments. You go in for 15, you get out, go for 15, get out. Over the span of like an hour and a half. And so you're in the water probably a total of a half hour between, you know, but it's also cold. I mean, you're 15 miles off the shore. It was really cold in the Atlantic. But yeah, man, that was something. That was definitely an experience.
That's wild, man. Damn, man. You're out here in the front lines with, you are metal. Jesus, you don't listen to metal. You are metal.
You know, I like to get whatever I can out of life that doesn't kill me, and sometimes it's a little close. Sometimes I'm good on the bears and I'm good on the cobra.
Well, speaking of sticky situations and being in danger, you were the audible witness to a murder. Yes.
Oh, you heard that? You've done your research.
Yeah.
I was the audible witness. Yeah, this is a whole insane story. Basically, the condensed version is Eddie and I were wrapping a tour up in Fort Worth. We were coming down from Nebraska and Wichita, Kansas, and
that's scary right there.
It is. Yeah, we did a show in a snowstorm in Wichita, and it was great. The show was a blast, but man, it was and so we're racing to get there, and the show was really good. And then the next morning, Eddie had to fly back at like 4 a.m. to LA to film some stuff, so he had to be on that flight. And because it was the last night of tour, like tonight is, I had some friends in town in Fort Worth. It's kind of, you know, 4 hours from where I live. And so we went out drinking after the show, you know, because like, I'm done. And so I got home back. We were at this sketchy Motel 6, which we never stay in. We have that on our rider now, no Motel 6. But this was one of those things where the club hadn't booked a hotel, and so the local comic putting on, like hosting, said, man, I'll get you guys a hotel. It was out of his pocket, so I couldn't complain. He was doing a nice thing, but it was like a $50 a night hotel. It felt it. And we got there and it felt like The Wire. It was like, all right, this feels sketchy, but it's the last night also. We're like, whatever, like I don't care. Until I got home at 3:15 a.m. and I know this because I have the Uber receipt. And I went upstairs to bed immediately because it just felt sketchy. And, you know, I was tired anyway. And I went to bed, and about 8 minutes later, I heard bang, 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 bang. And I was like, those are gunshots. And that was real close. But it's a city, it's Fort Worth. It's like, it's not like I'm in, Morris Plains or somewhere even smaller. It's Dallas, Fort Worth. And so I was like, well, that's what that is, but I'm not, what am I going to go investigate at 4 a.m? I'm staying here, So I just went to bed and I was like, but that was gunshots real close. And I wake up the next morning at 8 a.m. and the first text message I get is from Pepitone, who says, dude, there was a murder in the parking lot last night. And I was like, holy shit. Like, that's what I heard. And he has this whole thing where he had to leave at 4 a.m. Yeah. So I got home at 3:15. Eddie left at 4. The murder was at 3:45. So if either of us had left 15 minutes, like if I had gotten home a little late or he had gotten out a little earlier, we would have been in this line of fire. But he walked out into an active crime scene. Like, it was just like, someone's been murdered.
Either of you guys could have done it, really.
Well, that's what's funny is he walks through the thing. He's like, he's got to get to LA. He's like, I can't miss this flight. He had like some show for NBC or something. And he's walking out and his Uber picks him up. And he's like, what happened? And he's like, somebody got murdered. I need to get to the airport right away. And the Uber driver was like, wait, what? Like, he pulled over to make sure it wasn't him. And once he saw the
bad
news bulletin or something, that it was like some other, suspect caught or something like that. But yeah, that was wild, man. That was,
you've been better off going, follow that car or something else.
Something, man. But Eddie made it out of there, and I woke up. And then I woke up. I got out of there immediately because once he said someone was murdered, I'm like, I know what that is. Like that. And I don't know if I'm in like a gang zone or like what's going on, but I'm out of here. So I woke up, threw all my clothes in the car, and I was giving the guy back the keys. And he said, how was your stay? And I said, aside from the murder, it was fine. So, yeah.
Yeah, he knew about the murder. Why would he even ask?
I think he was on the morning shift and he wasn't there overnight or something. But I was like, yeah, man.
When you did you run into like any like chalk outlines or anything like that?
There was police tape.
Okay.
There's police tape. That's all I saw. But also, man, I'm getting out of here. I like beeline for my car and just left. And so I didn't stick around to really examine the scene. But yeah, there was yellow police tape everywhere.
There you go. Yeah, they know you. Some people might know you played a killer on, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So yeah. I don't want to fall under suspicion.
Like, this guy's a method actor. Fuck this.
That's right. That's right.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it's wild.
Well, yeah. So I also noticed that you make custom toys. Mm-hmm. Very impressive. You made like, action figures of comedians.
Yeah.
And I've also seen some funny ones. I looked on your page. Did you make the Wolfman balls? Are those yours? Is that your creation?
The which one?
Wolfman balls, the furry balls?
No, I saw that also on Instagram. Okay. That's the Wolfman's got nards like that.
The nards, yeah.
I made a Wolfman on ecstasy. And so it was him.
'Cause he's tearing his clothes off anyway?
Yeah, he's like under the moon and he's like DJing. He's got like vinyl and headphones. Yeah, it just came out. That was my like COVID freak out once tour stopped, because I was supposed to record a special for 800 Pound Gorilla in April of 2020.
Nice.
And that just, the gates came down and I didn't get to record for like a year and a half after that. So all the tour dates, Eddie and I had just started working together. We had worked together about a year. And so we were supposed to do a lot of festivals in like Phoenix and Memphis, festivals that just never got rescheduled. And just, like everybody, the world stopped. And so I had made my buddy Mishka from that Alaska story. I had made him an action figure of him as a zombie for his birthday, just messing around.
Yeah.
And people really loved it online. He posted a photo of it and people were like, wow, that's cool. And then I started coming up with funny ideas. Like I know I did, what's the name of the guy from Growing Pains, who's a religious nut job now? God, I can't remember. But there was an 80s. Yeah. It was like this 80s teen heartthrob. And I made him as like a satanic version of him because he's a big Bible thumper. Right. And yeah, it just kind of spiraled, man. People started showing a lot of interest in it. I'm like, well, this is something I can do at home that keeps me busy since I can't tour. And that was it. It just kind of became this whole second career. And so now it's just JT Custom Toys, which is my Instagram handle at JT Custom Toys. And I just do, whenever I'm off the road and I'm not working on this book, I make custom action figures. And so now it's wild to me how it's spiraled into, like, I've done some gallery show stuff in LA. I did like a Stephen King themed show. I was invited to do some action figures for that. People like Jim Jeffries and Patton Oswalt and comics of that kind of caliber have a lot of my toys. David Lynch has one of mine in his office. You know, it's just wild how it kind of spiraled, and so I feel really lucky that anyone cares. but yeah, it's fun, man. It's when I'm home, it's very relaxing. I just kind of, you know, smoke weed and hang with my cats and paint into the night.
That's fire.
And so yeah.
Did you make the I ran into Bill Burr while I was on acid one?
Yes.
That is the funniest shit I ever seen.
I did make that. Yeah.
Wow, that's got to be my favorite one.
That one people really liked. I don't know Bill at all. I'm curious if he ever saw that, because sometimes I find out in a roundabout way. Like I made one for Bob Odenkirk. I made a giant version. So I do like 12-inch, like the old 60s G.I. Joe sizes too sometimes.
Yeah, I did see that one.
And I made that one. I made him from nobody, like with the all beat to shit with the cat food and everything. And I got a message from his wife by like 3 degrees of separation saying Bob loved it. And I was like, oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah, that Bill Burr one was just funny to me. It was basically the dude from RoboCop that gets covered in the toxic sludge.
Okay.
It was an action figure of that. And I just said, this guy kind of looks like Bill Burr. And so I just took him and I kind of altered him a bit, and I gave him like a microphone, I think, and some stuff.
Oh, man.
And yeah, the packaging was just like you're meeting Bill Burr for the first time, but also you're on acid, and he just looks like he's melting. Yeah, people really like that.
The packaging is fire, dude. Mr. E.T.
Yeah, I mean,
that's amazing.
Yeah, there's some parallel thinking sometimes. It's like I did one too where it was I did the because there's other people that did custom toys obviously too. So I did one. It was the kid from Jaws, and it was just the bloody raft. That's all it was. And then like 2 months later, somebody's like, yo, some other guy did the same idea. And I was like, well, I don't think he's ripping me off. It's just like parallel thinking, you know, because he did a similar thing.
Fuck that poser, dude. Let's get him.
Well, his was inflated and it had like teeth marks in it. And so it was different. But mine was just, I just took yellow Rubbermaid gloves and cut them up and put red blood paint onto them and threw in there. And like, this is the action figure. It's just a kid's torn up float.
That is fire.
But yeah, man, it's really fun. And I'm amazed people care, and it's a nice, side hustle when I'm home to do these toys. It's fun.
It's interesting, man. Yeah, like you're the only grown up I know who makes toys that don't go inside bodies. That's great.
That's funny.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
It's fucking awesome. Well, let me see, how far are we in here?
Yeah, I got a few more minutes before I gotta go do this show.
Bet. Well, yeah. I actually put this on because I saw you had the Prince one.
Yeah, dude.
The Prince is like with the blouses jersey.
Yeah.
That's fire.
I made the blouses jersey. That was a Prince head, that I altered and stuff, and I made the jersey. All these are basically it's called kit bashing, which I never knew was a term, but I call it Frankensteining. I take like different parts from like old G.I. Joes or whatever, and I cut the head off this one and put the arms on this one and paint the body on this one and just kind of make them. So
like Sid from Toy Story.
I guess so, yeah. And so I gave him the basketball and also the plate of pancakes. And that one went pretty quick too.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's basically some of the stuff is weird too. Some of the stuff I like the werewolf on acid or on ecstasy. I did another one. It was like modern day witch, and it was just this white chick in a hat at brunch. Just like ridiculous stuff that makes me laugh. I did vegan Nosferatu. And he's just there with like a salad. I just dumb shit like that makes me laugh. That's and sometimes I don't even care. They always seem to sell, but like some of the stuff I just make, if it makes me laugh, I'm making it, and that's just how that goes. But yeah, I do it as much for me as I do for people that want specific things. But I also do custom orders sometimes. I just made a Three Amigos set for somebody.
Oh,
that
word?
He custom ordered, yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And yeah,
like the Ted Ferguson.
It was all the Three Amigos as 3 different like individual figures, and they each had like the one guy had the canteen full of sand, and just I think I put the talking frog or the talking turtle, just like little accoutrements there.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, dude.
That's amazing. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, dude. Thank you so much for.
Thanks so much for having me last minute, man. This has been great.
Guys, check out his new album. You got a new album out.
Yeah, I got a brand new record called Swamp Beast. It's on digital on 800 Pound Gorilla, and you can buy. My website has limited edition green vinyl. And jtcomedy.com has all of my links to all my stuff on there. And yeah, man, thanks so much for having me, buddy.
JT Habersaat, thank you
Appreciate
so much.
Thank you, man.
break a leg tonight. Thank you
Thanks.
guys. Thank you for tuning in to Dojo Cats episode 2. Have a good night. Thanks for it again.
Stick it where I sit. Fuck it where I sit. My ass is gay. My ass is gay.